Hey everybody, welcome to J&J On Jazz, powered by Jazzwire. This is my friend James Moore, and James's first vehicle was a two-wheel drive Chevy pickup truck.
That I had to put sandbags in the back so I wouldn't die in the winter. And Jeff told me that he used to own a Volkswagen bus, right?
Right, one of the old school ones. When I started growing my hair, the bus just appeared in the front yard. So it was my hippie birthright.
I suppose being from West Virginia, the truck just appeared in my driveway too. You know, so I totally get it. Absolutely. Yeah.
So was it sitting on blocks or did it actually have tires on it? Never mind.
We use other old wheels. You sit it on old wheels. We don't waste a good cinder block. We got to start. I'm done. I'm sorry.
Oh, moving on. You guys, I know you can't wait to hear this crap every week, right? What James and I are going to do is we're going to start doing J&J only twice a month. But here's the thing. On the in-between weeks, I know you loved the guided listening that James did last week when he was checking out Miles Davis and Love for Sale. That was amazing. And the Jazzwire people really want more of that. So what we're going to do is 2 J&J episodes on YouTube. So you'll see us twice a month. The other 2 weeks, James and I are going to be inside Jazzwire. So when you want to see those episodes, come join us at Jazzwire. You can sign up, do the free trial. You've heard us talking about it. Jump in and check out what Jazzwire is all about. That's where you can find James and I in a real way. So James had a great idea for this episode, and man, take it away.
Yeah, I was trying to think about something in my career lately that's been different or has been challenging me. And recently, the last year or so, but particularly the last couple of months, I've been working a lot with a group of musicians in Pittsburgh. They're a wonderful band. You should check them out. It's called the Boilermaker Jazz Band, led by an amazing musician named Paul Cosentino. And this group of musicians plays really, really accurate stylistically when it comes to like swing era stuff and before that. Matter of fact, just this past Friday, we had a gig in Baltimore at Mobtown Ballroom playing for Lindy Hoppers. And I mean, they play for dances. And it's been such a cool challenge for me to be immersed in this style because I haven't checked out a whole lot of swing era trumpet players. And I really want to do this music justice because these other musicians know the style so well. So like the last thing I want to do when somebody calls, whatever, a blues in that style, like I think there's one called The Jeep is Jumping. Yeah. But right? The last thing I want to do was come in with like, and just lay down a bunch of bebop lines because that's not really in the style, right? So it's been really stretching me to figure out how can I fit in this style and do it justice and not kind of half-step or fake. So I've been listening to a lot of what I think of as bridge players for me. The two that come to mind are people like Snooky Young, a great lead and solo trumpet player, and the great Clark Terry. Mm-hmm. Both people I've really been into and have checked out, but I've really had to lean on those bridge players that kind of bridge the bebop era and the modern jazz era with the swing era. So I've kind of boiled it down to
I need to interrupt right
please.
Here. Now, I don't know if anyone has accused you of being mature recently, but no. There's a lot of stuff okay, let me be the first. No, I mean, just what you said there, the respect you have for the music of not wanting to show up and superimpose your thing over the gig you took, right? That drives me crazy when people come in and they're playing some other gig than the gig they're on. Dude, play the gig you're on, right? So when you get hired to play some R&B, I don't really want to hear bebop or whatever it is on the R&B gig and vice versa, right? So I just want to say that's great that when you having the respect for that, and then the fact that you're finding it a challenge. We kind of have in mind sometimes that the music progresses. It progressed past swing. Well, post-bop progressed past bebop. I don't think anything progressed past anything. It changed. But man, those styles, those musicians, that music was perfect as it is. And it's hard. So anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Well, I appreciate that, Jeff. And there's I take it pretty seriously, and again, all the cats on this band are really versatile musicians. A lot of these musicians are people that I play, modern jazz, straight ahead gigs with in Pittsburgh, and so they're really versatile, and it's just really been inspiring me to come at this from a different sort of angle. And I've been trying to like kind of distill it down to what are the stylistic differences between the way that I would normally play and this subgenre of swing and pre-bebop. And so there's a tune called Blue Room that hardly anybody ever calls. That's the other thing that's cool about this. I'm learning all these standards that don't get called much anymore. So there's a nice recording of Chet Baker playing that tune that I've checked out for years, right? And the melody's just, I'll play it like a modern jazz player would play it. So that's how the tune goes, right? I mean, I would probably play it like that if I were just on a regular or playing straight ahead gig, right? But to do it justice in this style, I've been listening to lots of singers. So how can I infuse that kind of vocal sensibility into my playing and have it be a little bit more vocal-esque? Subtle things like using more vibrato, thinking about scooping into notes, and really letting the melody speak have been helping me a lot. And I find that in my improvisation, it's making me play more melodically all the time, not just when I'm playing in this style. So I don't know, it's just been a cool little journey, and I was curious what your thoughts on that would be, and to get everybody else's comments out there on like if it's even important for us to go back and learn those earlier styles. So I don't know, what's your take on that, John?
Man, I love it. And, I'm jealous that you have a group like that to play with. I think that would be a blast. I've done playing like that, and I have checked out Paul Gonsalves and Ben Webster and Marshall Royal and some of the great big band players, and, and really had to get good at sort of imitating them at times. And it's hard, like you say. And it's interesting, to think back, what was that music for? The music of the era you're talking about. You said Lindy Hoppers, dancers. What was it for? Well, it was pop music and it was dance music. What was bebop for? It was to piss people off. Right? I mean, it kind of really was. It was these young guys reacting. Yeah. So, right. So getting those things kind of straight. So really understanding that when you're playing a song that you're supposed to be connecting with somebody with, and those stylistic elements, I noticed right away the bend, the vibrato, those vocal sort of qualities. And so to develop those, and of course we want to make sure it's not overdone, it's not cheesy, those sort of things. But cheesy and Clark Terry have never been in the same sentence, and never will, right? Or you think you're, Sweets
Right.
Edison or those cats, right? Like, no, they were just killing it. There was nothing quaint or silly about how they're playing. So no, I feel really strongly that that this is important stuff. And the language, the soloing language that they would use too, it was, a little more accessible, and it was more melodic. I don't know if it's, I think of it this way, more over the changes as opposed to, deeper inside the changes in that bebop, really making the harmony kind of way. And it's a real skill to be able to play melodically sort of over the changes, but still hitting the important notes as the great melodies did. I totally agree.
Yeah, I think you're right, and the idea that the melody is what's most important. Here's something else that I find fascinating that I hope everybody can maybe take into their practicing to think about. On these gigs, when we're playing for dancers, which is the only time that a jazz musician ever really gets to feel like a rock star is when you're playing for a couple hundred Lindy Hoppers, right? I mean, I hope everybody gets to experience that, but the amount of choruses you take, you have to check that. Like, don't take more than a chorus, maybe two, because if a tune lasts more than 3 or 4 minutes, people physically might get tired, right? So the tunes are short, and we play a lot of them on a gig, and so we'll split choruses sometimes between 3 or 4 horn players. So it's not the time for you to step out there and say, I got 4 choruses in which to say something. Nah, man, you got half a chorus. So it's almost like, it's those old style big band charts too, where you got like an 8-bar solo. And that's sometimes harder than having this blank slate in front of you, right? So I don't know, it's just been really a neat challenge for me, and I've just really kind of gone down that rabbit hole lately.
That's fantastic. Well, let me ask, is there something specific? Like, is there a cool, whether it's a melodic, a lick, a melodic shape, a rhythmic thing, is there something sort of tangible that you've been using or you fell upon, or that's sort of a good illustration of like how Clark Terry would play this kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, so maybe not just specifically to Clark Terry, but what I find myself, actually, I've been going back further and checking out Louis Armstrong again. And what I find helps me to dial in this style and get in the mindset of playing in this era's language is to use quarter notes, right? And use single note lines. So I'll play like the last couple bars of Blue Room, and then I'll take like a half a chorus. So I'm not really limiting myself necessarily once I get started, but I'm really focusing on this lick in particular. So deep, 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 deep. Like if I start off playing something like that, it immediately gets me in the mindset of this era rather than you know what I mean? So I don't know. That's a little trick.
That's hysterical because that's exactly what I was thinking. What key were you in there?
F.
You're in the key of F. So when I, this is so weird because we've never talked about this. When I'm going to play a solo in this style, sometimes behind a singer, I've got the go-to thing, and I learned it from Sweet's Edison. And at that tempo, 1, 2. Right?
Yes.
Sweets, man.
He made a career on that.
he played that on every solo he ever played. And every time he plays it, far from being like, oh, there's that again, I'm screaming, I'm yelling in the car when he plays that, right? And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, ba-ba-doo. He starts with 6 quarter notes, and how he plays them, how he bounces them. It's hysterical, that's what you said, but we're the 2 smartest guys I know, so it seems like, we've hit on something. Because,
I think so.
Right, and that's about bouncing, and it's about the energy and the rhythm and getting people's butts shaken, right? So, that's awesome. So, we both independently came up with the same thing. We both, we've listened to those same albums, right? So that's really cool. So I would encourage people to go back. I'm picturing a Verve album. I have an old one. There's one with Billie Holiday, one with Ella Fitzgerald, with small groups. And I think Lester Young on one, but it's, Sweets is the trumpet player on them. And man, just hearing him play in that style is crazy, right? So really great. That's wonderful, man. I'm really glad you brought this topic up. And and having that tangible thing, the way you were playing and before you played a note, before you even said what your lick was going to be, that's what I was thinking in my head. So as soon as you started playing, I was like,
great
oh
minds.
Man, yeah.
Yeah, yep. Well, I think that's one of those things we all get drawn to, right? If we listen to that style. So you nailed it when you said it gets your butt shaking, right? Like this is dance music, and I tell you, you're playing for folks that can, like at the end of the gig. I know I'm talking a lot, but at the end of these gigs, there's a couple hundred people, and they're all, we're like playing 1 o'clock jump, right about here, and they're really going for it. They form that circle. They all dance as couples in and out of the circle, and everyone's popping on 2 and 4, and the whole room is swinging. And when they finish doing the thing, and we're taking our last couple courses, they rush the stage, which is like the tradition.
Wow.
But just being around people that are an audience that's moving to the music and feeling it, for me, it reminds me what the roots of this music are, and that even if we're playing something in 7/8, it's still got to feel good, right? So anyway. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for the space.
Dude, that's a perfect way to wrap it up. And right, where this music comes from, what it's for, right? And the use, how we use music, it went from the dance hall to the concert hall, the club, then the concert hall, then the university. A lot of people talk about that. But as you say, this music kind of has that one central purpose, and we need to keep remembering that. So yeah, let's go back and listen to some of this music. We've mentioned some really important names if you don't know them. So that's fantastic. And now next week, we're not going to be on YouTube. We're going to be inside Jazzwire with a guided listening. I'm going to be doing guided listening on Joe Henderson Trio playing Stella by Starlight off the State of the Tenor album. It's one of my favorite recordings, some incredible playing from Al Foster on the drums, Ron Carter on bass. So I'm excited to talk about that with you guys. So we'll see you back here in 2 weeks. I want to see you inside the free trial at Jazzwire. James, thanks, man. Fantastic topic.
See y'all. Thanks.